Fantastic. I'm really looking forward to this masterclass. Give you a little bit of context about myself for those of you in the audience that might not know me. I've been involved in this industry for the past 8 years, older than the conference itself, which is now 7 years old. And it's true that, there's bull markets, there's bear markets, a lot of different cycles. It's true that, those cycles do wear you out. How many of you in the audience have been around since 2017? Okay, quite a few of you. It does really kind of wear on you a little bit, and this subject is something that gave me a little bit of a second breath, a second life, because I felt a lot of energy and a little bit, let's say, some electric thoughts, no pun intended, when I discussed this topic with people. So hopefully at the end of it, you feel that way as well. Maybe just give you some context as to why maybe my presentation today is going to be more or less relevant. If you don't see our logo on that screen, we can chat later to see if we can add you to our Hall of Fame. But these are some of the companies that we've worked with over the past years of five years that Storm Partners has been around. And what does Storm Partners do? Essentially, we've been quoted as the McKinsey of Web3. We're a strategy advisory firm, and essentially we focus on outcomes first. And we believe that M&A can be a very, very strong outcome for a lot of people in this industry. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why, but first, how did we get to where we are today? A lot of boom, bust, and bloat, as I like to call it, a lot of acronyms from ICO, IEO, IDO to TGE. We could have many more like NFT, but essentially there's really been a bit of a growth and a bit of, this kind of weight that's been on a lot of our shoulders. A good friend and colleague of mine always tells me and reminds me that there's more cryptocurrencies listed on CoinMarketCap than there are stock listed in the world. So there's quite a few. Maybe even too many. I think too many in my point of view for the moment at least, and a lot of use cases that could come together. And honestly, it builds a lot of confusion. It dilutes, and we're all a bit confused about what's going on. So it was the Wild West, and the ones that we're seeing today are looking at uniting. Uniting is the word I like to use. A lot of people say consolidation. We're like, okay, the bear market is going to happen. A lot of these companies are going to consolidate. But actually, unfortunately, consolidation didn't happen. Why? Is it because a lot of people's treasuries, a normal startup, you have your treasury, you have your runway, and normally we're talking about the volatility of foreign exchange before. Well, normally that currency doesn't double, triple, or even 10x in value. But a lot of these companies that raised in 2017 held a bit of that in Ethereum, held a bit of that in Bitcoin, and essentially they never ended up kind of dying, even though they had never really found product market fit. A friend of mine was telling me that most layer 1 blockchains today are more hedge funds than they are protocols. So they are uniting, they are finding ways to do things together. I do want to kind of remain on this point that consolidation shouldn't be seen as a loss. It's often seen as a bad thing. It's like, okay, we're coming together, I'm losing certain percentage of my equity, I'm no longer kind of really in control there. But to our belief, uniting is a feature, not a bug. Why is that? Because the world is quite a big place. If you have people that are trying to build exactly the same as you in Asia, that you are here in Switzerland or in America, why not unite with them? Blockchain by design is global, and so if we can come together, we can benefit from these variety of benefits here, economies of scale, and the likes. Here, maybe to give you some perspective around M&A, it's not, let's say, a topic that has just been coming up. It's something that has been around for quite some time, some huge numbers. Normally, you only see this type of numbers when we're talking about a cybersecurity hack, which is normally not a very positive thing. These are actually quite positive numbers. I mean, there's the type of figure that you normally see in the traditional world. So you can see that our industry is maturing, and there are some large transactions happening. Maybe to give you a little bit of context there, because of course, data is king. You can see that there is been a growth in mergers and acquisitions over the past quarter. We are seeing more and more in the works too. So here's a little bit of the numbers for you with that lovely graph, and then a little bit more here by sector, because it's true, it's like, okay, but what are the types of companies that are really consolidating? And here you can really see from 2 slides ago that a lot of it is finance today, because when we talk about consolidation, unfortunately, a lot of, let's say, the NFT and some other players actually did go bankrupt. So, how are we accelerating here in Web3? Because it's true that when we look at M&A, as we said before, it's not a negative thing, it's a positive thing. And this is how we see kind of the evolution. So I'm going to focus more on 3 of the growth levers here. And these 3 growth levers came to me as being important because it's true that myself, as a founder and entrepreneur, I'm thinking as well, okay, what are the best ways that I can grow my business? And these were the 3 that I evaluated and that I often put forward to some of our clients. There are many more, but because we don't have too much time today, I'm going to focus on, let's say, these 3, so vertical, horizontal, and geographic, but as you can see, there are a few others as well. So for me, vertical growth is about, okay, you're doing one thing well, how could you do better of that thing, right? So I run a strategy advisory firm. For me, it's like, okay, we have a variety of different departments. How could, for example, in our legal and compliance department, what could we do to have better lawyers, compliance officers, and the likes? Yes, we could hire them, but are there ways to be able to acquire a law firm or the likes to be able to bring that type of knowledge inside? So when we're working with some of our clients, we see, okay, well, they're doing well. Is there a way for them to double down on those efforts instead of spending many hours and days looking at LinkedIn strategies, etc.? They could just bring in the talent from a vertical standpoint. Horizontal here is very much, okay, well, yes, we're doing legal and compliance, but recently a lot of our clients have been asking for some financial matters. We had some team members that were quite strong in the finance side, but we were discussing, okay, is there a way to look at acquiring a finance company that has already been battle tested and that we can grow directly in that vertical through that type of acquisition? So I really like the horizontal side because it allows us to find that product market fit without actually having to discover it ourselves, because there's an entity that already has. And geographic, as I mentioned before, blockchain technology is global by design. So if there's someone doing it in another field somewhere else, we can directly go there. So I would like to just pause a little bit and kind of bring in a guest here that might not be mic'd up just yet, but would be great for him to take the stage, because this is one of the clients that we've worked with over the past couple of years, and they were not necessarily having problems, but they were looking at the industry as, okay, we're doing AI. AI is extremely complicated, as you all know. Most of you know OpenAI and XAI. They have some very big challenges. They're quite big as entities. They have a lot of resources. And our client here, SingularityNET, was looking at, okay, how can they achieve AGI, artificial general intelligence, via decentralization, so not just having one entity controlling your data. And so I'll leave the stage to my colleague here, Nicola, who's, let's say, the man behind the merger here of SingularityNET, Fetch, and Ocean Protocol, who'll give you a little bit more insight as to why this was so relevant for this entity, not only from a commercial perspective, because it's true that their tokens were trading around the top 100 by CoinMarketCap, and by the time this happened, they shot up to top 20. So quite an impressive feature. So let's give a round of applause to Nico and let him talk. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, yeah, it works. First of all, I'm a lawyer. So let's say Sheraz pointed out that I have engineered this merger, which is true, but from the legal side, not from the commercial side or business side. Another clarification before we enter into the topic, we need to clarify one very important thing. When Sheraz showed the figures before, we were talking about more traditional M&A deals, in which one company acquires another company. This merger was very peculiar because it's a token merger. They had 3 tokens, they ended up with 1. And they aggregated the supply. So this is a very peculiar type of merger that can happen only in the digital asset industry. There is no other industry in which you can merge, let's say, the sort of like traded instrument without merging the organizations. And the way in which this has been achieved is through the creation of a common entity that is called ASI Alliance Foundation, with a governance mechanism that unites the three founding members, which are Fetch.ai, SingularityNET, and Ocean, and through the merger of the tokens. The merger of the tokens happened through basically getting rid of two tokens and maintaining one smart contract on which the total supply was increased to match the aggregate supplies of the three, and then this has been exchanged back. The very, let's say, innovative thing of this is that nobody did a token merger of this size before. And so we were assisting SingularityNET, and one time SingularityNET came to us and said, we want to do this. How do we do it? And the first answer was, we don't know, but we will figure it out. And then basically the whole process has been agreed between us and the lawyers, mainly the lawyers of Fetch. And we found a framework that we believed was let's say, appropriate to protect the interests of both our clients and to achieve what they wanted to achieve, and then we moved forward with that. I can also tell you that because it was, let's say, the first of a kind, there were a number of issues that we sort of had to let's say, use our creativity to overcome, and still, of course, maybe it wasn't perfect, and it's to a certain extent still work in progress, in particular on the governance side, but is a very interesting thing because of what Sheraz was saying earlier. There are too many tokens on the market. There are too many projects that are trying to do exactly the same thing and could benefit from mutual synergies if they aggregate, if they find another project or other two projects that are trying to do exactly the same thing, and they could pull together resources and unify their team, their technologies, and then move forward stronger. And this is exactly what happened in the case of the ASI Alliance, and it is enabling them to move forward stronger and to accelerate on the path to achieve their objectives. So it is, in my opinion, a successful case. Of course, the real success of this we can see only in 3, 4, 5 years, but let's say they started strong, and we hope they will continue. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Nicola, thank you so much. And so we spoke a little bit about the past, we've spoken about a present use case. Now I want to take you a little bit into the future and how this can really involve yourselves with your entities, the things that you're thinking about as well. So a little bit of behind the scenes. So Nicola gave the legal perspective here, and we had a decent amount of our teams working in sync. So I want to give you some of the challenges that we face as well, because it was definitely not an easy case, right? So one that we've been asked even today is, how do you value tokens, right? And this was a pure token merger for ASI, but we're currently working on 3 deals where there are entities that have tokens and equity. And they're like, okay, well, our equity is a certain value, but our tokens are a certain value as well. Can we sell the entity for that value? And unfortunately, as we do work on the buy side and the sell side, we see also what the entities that are buying companies say. And the unfortunate part is that even though your token may be valued at a few tens, if not hundreds of millions on CoinMarketCap, certain larger companies that might want to acquire you might see this token as a liability, because they might not have a token and it might be harder for them to be able to integrate you into their ecosystem. So instead of giving you a discount or a premium on the token, they might have to fork out a certain amount of money to be able to convert that token for the users into fiat as well. So valuation of tokens is incredibly important, because as we might have seen with the whole Mantra topic, where Mantra went from a $6.97 billion valuation to like 70 million overnight. You can see that the order books, the liquidity of these projects, even though they're valued quite high, unfortunately, there's no real kind of, let's say, buying pressure within that. So valuation of tokens is extremely important, and don't just say, okay, yeah, CoinMarketCap says this, I'm going to be able to sell for my token price plus my equity price. It doesn't always work like that. DAO coordination, it's much more complicated than you may think. It's quite interesting that even though the leadership of the 3 companies that Nicola mentioned really wanted to do this, they had to get the buy-in from the community. So it's true, it's a dual-edged sword, because it's quite a beautiful thing to say that, okay, the stakeholders have such an impact on the future of the project, but it could have happened that those users said, no, actually, we don't want this to happen. We believe in this specific vision. We don't want that to happen. And so they can often be quite complicated because, yeah, decentralized autonomous organizations operate in strange ways sometimes. Narrative alignment is very complicated as well, and I'll touch on that one as well with the last point here of egos. Is that, you know, we all have different visions and missions, and maybe we're doing what we are not necessarily for the money, maybe it's for other reasons, and our egos can often get in the way. And if we are not merging a company or acquiring with the right narrative alignment, it can lead to a lot of problems down the line, where then maybe that company might want to spin out, or maybe the asset is not worth as much as it was bought for. So when we look at some of the lessons learned, it's not just about merging the tokens, it's about merging missions, that everybody is aligned internally. You go out for drinks, go to have a few dinners. It's not just about the tech, it's really about, okay, is building together going to be the best way forward, and will those teams get along? Today we're still a human-driven society, not just technologically driven, so human side is very, very important. So what does M&A ready look like? So it's quite interesting to see that a lot of companies that are looking at merging or looking at M&A aren't necessarily doing it for the money. They're really thinking about acquisition channels, speed to market, and new geographies. Here I'm really going to just talk about the kind of the speed to market. Is there a way that instead of just deploying their capital, they can give up some of their equity tokens and they can get to their objective faster? It's really important to have that one in mind. So what are they buying? So if you are looking at, let's say, the tangible value of your company, it's not really the hype and promises. It's true that you can consider kind of goodwill. Hype is an important factor. If you don't have good community sentiment, maybe the other elements of your business aren't going to be so worthwhile, depending on how the organization wants to take it, if they're rebranding or not. But here are some of the 7 points that we believe have really unlocked the valuations that the founders, the C-suite have sought after. Are licenses and regulatory compliance. It's very tangible to have a license. Having good teams. I think most of you in the room know the difficulties of hiring good people. If you can have great people within your company, there is a value there. New access, and then of course the 3 last ones are extremely important, especially in our industry. Active users, total value locked, and transaction fast second. Okay, so for yourself in the audience, before I kind of leave it over to slowly but surely to Q&A, how can you get prepared? Having a clean house, you know, I mean, your doctor can't help you if you don't give them exactly kind of what's going wrong with you. No, same as with your lawyer if you're not completely transparent. So if you can have a clean house, no skeletons in your closet. If you don't really believe that your token has value, then just kind of sunset the token, get right with your community, and then go into the transaction having really clean books and being quite safe. The last one, as an entrepreneur, I'm always a bit kind of wary of to like not have any pet projects. I know that maybe some of you creatives in the room always like to do a variety of things, but here it's true when it comes to M&A. We've seen that the buy side really just want to know, okay, what are they specifically buying and what are they getting out of that? Then papering up is a very, not necessarily difficult, but administrative one for all of us. But yeah, just making sure you have everything set in your data room. The amount of times that we've had companies come to us, be like, yeah, we're super ready to get acquired. We ask them for their data room, and they're like, yeah, okay, we'll give it to you. It takes a month for them to give it to us. We're like, okay, but where's your business model? It's like, we needed one of those things. Like, yeah. Or a financial model. Okay. So try to see. I think ChatGPT can really help you to understand what needs to be in your data room. If you don't know, feel free to chat to us. We're happy to let you know. And just kind of having that set is going to save you so much time. And then, everyone talks about differentiating factors, USPs. Try to know, okay, what is the organization that might want to buy us? What are they getting here? What is really the USP that they're buying? So to kind of close off here today, some key advice, like be realistic. Of course, know your worth, but our industry is known for overinflated valuations. So please try to understand, okay, what is really a realistic amount? Try to leave to the side the ego side, right? It's not a surrender, it's a scale up. We can do more together. And of course, an obvious one, if not, it's just a plug for us, but do partner yourselves with people that understand this industry as well. It's quite complex. Some of these transactions can be difficult, and we're here to help. So a little bit of kind of the missing link that we believe it is, get away from the chaos. I think we're going to see much more consolidation. We are already seeing it. A lot of these tokens, a lot of these projects are going to come together. It's no longer rare. It's really required. US companies, if I take it back to the geographic standpoint, have a lot of money today because the provisions they had for a lot of the SEC kind of cases that were ongoing have been lifted. So there is a lot of activity happening from that side. So it's going to be happening more and more. And proactivity. It's true, a lot of the time, deals don't just come to you and fall on your lap. You can go after them. So I will leave you with my final, kind of one of my favorite quotes here, is that luck is where preparation meets opportunity. So if you're prepared, now's the opportunity to be lucky. Thank you.